What's up, guys? Roberto from the Media.
What's up, guys? Tommy Kittner from TK Auto Works.
And today we got a big question.
What's the best swap for a BRZ? So name the motor down low, and then we're just going to kind of go over what we think.
Yeah.
So you just want to start it off with the LS?
Let's start with stock.
Stock FA.
Stock FA, even built, it's kind of garbage. I would say a supercharger setup with not,
Yeah.
it's about as much as you want to go with before you start having issues.
Right.
It's just like even with pistons and rods, that motor just doesn't really hold it.
Well,
I really don't know what it is.
Yeah, so, I mean, like I said, they just have failures. And, well, to me, if you drive a bone stock or BRZ, or it's just so lackluster, like
there's just no oomph on there.
Yeah.
Once you get going in a corner, it's all right.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, it is a good handling car, but it's like if you own the car in Texas where it's just interstates, you would not.
You would hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would hate it.
Yeah. Now, if you live in the canyons of, like Middle Tennessee or somewhere like up by the tail of the dragon.
Yeah.
Or,
if you live in North Carolina, that's a great car.
yeah. Then it's probably the most fun you can have for.
Oh, for sure.
And the cars are relatively cheap now too.
I've seen really high level drivers talk about how that car feels very on par with like a Porsche. Like once you get to that level of back road driving, and once you set it up nicely. So, considering it's kind of like an Econobox, so you know what I mean? Like that's really, really impressive.
Yeah, and I mean the handling's there. It's just like the motor that comes with is, which the new ones are pretty good.
Yeah,
with the FA24 and
the extra little bit of displacement kind of really wakes it up.
I mean, and it's just crazy because it's like the extra. I don't even know how much the power difference is, but
in from what I've read, it's not really like a big number push from one other to the other, but it's just the drivability. And apparently like the FA20 had a big dip in like the midpoint of the RPM range, where this one that's completely gone. Like basically you don't really buy that car because you love the motor, you buy that car because you love the chassis,
right?
And I would say because of that, I think a K-swap BRZ is probably the move, because you're keeping that front end really lightweight,
right?
While having something that can hold 500-600 horsepower.
Yeah. So you because I know people put LSs in them, they put 2Js in them, they put the K series in them,
some BMW motors in them.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a point where like you basically see everything.
Yeah, and I think it'd probably be kind of like what you're doing with it. Like if you want to keep that backroads carver, I think Roberto's right with the K series. Unless you could probably put a 2J in there, but you'd have to get the motor so far into the firewall to keep that.
You're getting
balance.
a lot of custom things, and then where the shifter's at, you're going to be shifting here, so you got to get a relocation. Yep. And those usually don't feel as good as like the OEM or OEM style.
And then
there's a lot to it.
Yeah. Well, then that occurs more cost too, because then if you go JZ, you're switching to a T56 most of the time, and then in those cars, when you do bigger power, you're going to have to put a rear end in it. Because
pretty much right away.
Yeah, because they won't hold the power.
Yeah, the torque is what really kills those rear diffs.
Yep. So, I mean, like you said, the chassis is really sorted. It's just we're trying to figure out what would be the best motor to put in them. So, personally, here at the shop, we are doing a K-swapped one, and we're doing a JZ one. So we'll have more feedback throughout the year, because we should have those finished up.
And I think that's actually like a super interesting setup, because both of those are Japanese. So you're not going with the American style V8 or
LS
whatever.
motor.
I think the JZ one is going to be like the modern Supra that we never got, like that literally probably way better.
Yeah.
And as far as like that goes, that like there's really no limit to what I'll do. Like if anything, you may actually have to put a little bit of weight because it's going to be so gnarly with 800-900 horsepower on that little chassis. That's you're either a really good driver or I don't know what to tell you.
And that is the power range that we kind of like spec'd it for.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're doing that, you might as well.
Yeah, because like I said, I think we're going to set him like it's the settings from like 6 to probably a little over 800.
Nice.
Yeah.
But then you're doing the motor, you're doing fuel, you're doing intercooler piping, you're doing transmission work, custom drive shaft.
Everything. Custom rear end.
It would need custom rear end, bigger axles on top of that.
Right.
So like it's a whole car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, because like I said, he's doing a built differential, Grand S Racing kit for the BRZ and 2J. So, and then we're going to go Haltech on it, do the fuel system, and do everything. So, like I said, it's kind of cool because we'll be able to like the case swapped one isn't as intense, so we'll have that one done first and be able to program it and drive it, get a good feel, and then kind of give y'all guys feedback. And then after that, we should have the 2JZ one wrapped up and then give feedback about that too, and really see like what's the best doing that. And because I was trying to figure out the weight between the LS and the FA20, and I think it's only 100 pounds.
Really?
Yep, to put an LS in one versus
wow.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got all those extra cylinders?
Right. More? Yeah, well, but so like I said, and the BRZ chassis is, I mean, you can find them pretty cheap.
Yeah. And it's it's a Subaru, so you could find one with a blown motor, especially if you want to do all this already. Like it kind of makes sense, and that's what I want to do whenever I end up doing it. And
if you find them automatic or whatever, like that isn't a problem.
No, not really, because you're probably gonna change all that.
Yeah.
I've seen people with the K-swap ones. Some of them will run the OEM transmission. Some of them will run the CD out of the Nissans. But I mean, we got a friend that's got one. He's on a stock transmission, and
oh, he has no trouble.
Has no trouble.
Yeah.
Besides, when he first got the car, he had some issues. He had something, but he needed a big wing. That's what
he needed. A big wing.
Yeah. He actually needed it. It's funny enough because like most people just run that for the looks, but it actually helped him out.
Yeah, I think.
But where that motor doesn't really have that much torque, the axles are fine, the rear end is fine. So I just kind of feel like that's the better move. If you're gonna do all that, like, which is completely doable, you're pretty much buying another car. Yeah. like with all the money you're putting into it.
Right. Because like they say K-swaps are cheap, but it's cheap after you have everything.
The motor's cheap.
Yeah.
Everything else is not cheap.
Yeah. Because I can say we bought the stuff for the BRZ customer that is K-swapping and 2J swapping, not cheap. No. Like before labor, not cheap.
Right.
Right. But I mean,
what is that kit like? 12, 15K?
15K for just the K-swap stuff.
Yeah.
Keeping your transmission
with no motor.
With no motor.
Motor.
No motor and no accessories.
Yeah, luckily you can get like a JDM one for like $1,000-$1,200.
Yeah.
Low mileage.
Yep.
Which I would always be really careful with that, but
because I mean, like I said, they all say they got 60,000 or 60K on them, but it's like how does every motor have 60K on it?
Yeah, and another thing is, like if it's like an actual JDM motor, people in Japan don't really do maintenance. So it's like it might have 45,000-50,000 miles, but when you barely change the oil. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's a lot for, not doing anything to
Yeah.
it.
So, like I said, when we got the one that we got, we went ahead and replaced. It's a K series, but we replaced, both VVTi gears. We did the timing chain, guides, oil pan, pickup.
You did the timing and stuff, right?
Yep, all
Yeah.
the time, and then we set.
That's literally what I would do. If you
And
do
then
those things, it'll last you no problem.
We set all the valves, reset all the valve clearances and all that, and then I would just go into it pretty good. That way, like hopefully you can get it a couple of years out of it. No major problems.
Right.
But yeah, and then like I said, go from there. And then if you start off in A, it's probably
it's quite a bit cheaper.
Yeah, quite a bit cheaper.
Yeah.
Our customer is going to go turbo, and then we're doing an R-Tech manifold, and then it has fab work for the intercooler and downpipe.
Yeah. And the great thing about it is like you can kind of get it stockish motor, run it, figure out what you want, and then a couple years later, okay, like I want that, I want this. Okay,
Right.
Then now you built the motor, but everything else is done. So in theory, it should be a fairly simple process.
Yeah.
But yeah, everything, any other motor, basically, like we were talking about, like you go run to the same issue. Like you're running too much torque for something that had like a tiny little 4-cylinder.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just never designed for that. Yeah.
Yeah, and the way I've seen these rear ends break, I mean, it's like it locks the gears together, so it's kind of sketchy.
Right.
Especially
and
if
it is a bigger rear end than most Subarus, the 1R80 or R160.
Yeah.
But like slightly, like not like
Yeah,
like a 350Z transmission or a rear end where it's like whoa, like the thing's huge, and you go from that to this. No.
Yeah, if you do one of these swaps, like keep the power down till you're able to change out that differential.
Yeah. But yeah, besides that, I mean, I think these cars will be the next 240 if they're not already. As far as where people kind of swap all the motors into them. Chassis is great. Yeah, it's a great chassis, and we've always talked about that. If Subaru would have made those turbo, they probably would have never sold any STIs because a lot of people would have rather have that.
Well, maybe WRXs.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think STI is going to have his market.
or maybe that is kind of like the move to do that, and eventually, because there's like some rumors that they might put the motor that it's on the what is that thing called, on the Corolla GR thing.
Oh yeah, the 3-cylinder.
Because and that kind of goes to what we're saying, like all that car really needed was around 300 horsepower.
Yeah.
Like it would have been great.
Yeah, like I mean, it'd been great for so much, like track, like because it is a phenomenal track car with the stock engine.
Yeah.
I mean, because I've seen them do big number like GTR times just because it can make it through like the areas where the GTR with the weight kind of pushes, so you got to go slower, and then that's where it makes up its time, where the GTR makes up the time on the high speed.
See Initial D or MF Ghost,
Yeah.
You'll see him beating Ferraris.
Exactly.
Yeah, just a little bit more camber, and he's all of a sudden he's out there just beating supercars.
Yep.
No, but it is really a good chassis.
And you got to drop a tire.
Yeah, you got to drop the tire into the gutter. Yeah, that's the winning ticket right there.
Yep. But yeah, guys, let us know what y'all think about that. What motor is the best for the BRZ swaps, and we'll discuss it down in the comments. But yeah, and we'll catch y'all guys in the next episode. Peace.